Hey, what's up, everybody? Garrett Brumley here with Duty to Train. Today, I'm going to go over the greatest breakup letter of all time, which is the Declaration of Independence. And if you've never read this, I have to say, I've never read this before. I've never read the Constitution, and so many people are like, "That's unconstitutional." I bet you 90% of the people who say that have never read the Constitution. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. So this is why I want to better myself. Like, I'm an American. I should have read the Constitution by now, and I haven't. And I'm like ashamed to say that. However, I can change that very easily. So we're going to go over the Declaration of Independence right now. And it's hilarious, honestly. Okay, let's get into it. So I just copy and paste it because I want to be able to highlight stuff. I'm trying to figure out how to highlight stuff on a web page. I'll figure that out eventually. But so basically what this is just a whole list of grievances. And it basically is just bashing the king. And so I wanted you to just put yourself in the mindset of a king who literally is just like the world's most spoiled kid. Everything he wants, he gets. He's always gotten his way. No one ever tells him no. And then imagine the poor soul that had to walk into his chambers and be like, "Your Majesty, I have a letter from the colonies." And he's like drinking wine and eating chicken and grapes. And he's like, "Yes, yes, read it away, read it away." And then this is what he gets. It's actually hilarious. Okay, so in the beginning, they say when in the course of human events, I'm gonna like summarize this, but when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, they should declare the causes which impel them to separation. So basically, they're saying if you're gonna break up with your government, you have to say why. And so basically say that this is where they say all men are created equal and they're endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights. But the history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let the facts be submitted to a candid world. So the king's done a bunch of bad stuff, and now we are going to present all those facts, and any candid world can decide for themselves. And so look at real quick before I get into this. It all is just basically just bashing the king. So imagine you're the king, and then this is what you have to eventually listen to. He would be so mad. Think about this. He has. So it's basically like breaking up with your girlfriend. It's like she did this, 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 and then like your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever having to read this and be like, "Oh my gosh," and then like putting it out for the entire world to see. I mean, this would have just infuriated, totally infuriated the king. So, he has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. So I've listened to Glenn Beck occasionally, and I actually listened to him talk about this a long time ago, which is one of the reasons I highlighted it because I've kind of listened to somebody else talk about it. And actually, some of these are like pretty easy, but this one, colonists or whatever, would want to address some grievances, and then King would be like, "Okay, come over to Great Britain and we'll solve it." And people are like, "Well, I'm not going to go all the way over to Great Britain to solve this problem when I could just write you a letter." So the king was just trying to make it impossible for people to present facts and make their case, and he made it really, really hard for them to go to places to be a part of meetings because he would call for those meetings at places not even. It's like living in California and then the president of the United States is like, "Okay, if you want to solve this problem, you have to go to New York." But then it's like he has for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us. I forget which Bill of Rights. I think it's the Fifth Amendment. No, I'm not sure which one. Fourth Amendment, where you can't quarter troops. So that's like one of the issues that they had. That's why they put it in the Constitution. A lot of people nowadays are like, why would we really have that in there? But you can see that that's one of the big issues is they were forced to live with British troops in their house. The king's like, "Hey, you're gonna house all these troops," and it's like, dude, you can't just like stick military troops in my house. It's totally screwed up. For imposing taxes on us without our consent. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. Oh my gosh, imagine being a king and hearing this. I mean, he would be so livid. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor, this is also important. So it's not that they've just wanted to talk to the king. They've tried to talk to the British people, the people who are kind of the British, the people who were in British control of the colonies, the heads, I don't know what they were called, but the people over there representing the king, they tried to bring their case to them as well, and they also didn't listen. So, nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislator to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. Above my head, I have to say. We therefore okay. So this is it. This is like this is the breakup. And as I was reading this, it honestly gave me goosebumps because this was treason, right? So think about what they're saying here, and then think about this is the whole reason that like an entire war broke out, and that we now have the country that we do. Like you put that into perspective, like this is such a cool letter. We, therefore, the representative of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as a free and independent states, they have the full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Like goosebumps, right? Like our sacred honor. Sick. Our founding fathers were the most badass individuals of all time. I mean, maybe not of all time. You could probably find some maybe more badass people, but dude, so cool. So literally, I mean, honestly, the greatest breakup letter. I know I just said this, but imagine being the king and you're sitting there drinking your wine, and then this is some poor soul had to read this to him. Because I doubt he probably, I don't know, I doubt kings probably read like by themselves. I bet they probably had people read to them, and some poor soul had to walk in like trembling and be like, "Your Majesty, there's a letter from the colonies," and like just bashes the king. I bet you he probably kicked him out the first time. I bet you the person who walked into those chambers didn't make it through the entire redress of grievances before the king was like, "Get out of my chambers!" Just started like throwing things across the room. Greatest breakup letter of all time. Nailed it. So anyway, yeah, history video number 1. I think that's a pretty good place to start with the greatest breakup letter of all time. So until next time, stay safe, live free, read the Constitution if you haven't read the Constitution. But now you've basically gone over the Declaration of Independence, and that's it in a nutshell. So until next time, stay safe, live free, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya.